Hey there, it's Vashti Sarah. Welcome back to Post Blog. If this is your first time listening, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like button, follow button, share button, all the buttons to stay connected with the Post Blog podcast. And for those of you who this is not your first time, welcome back. Hey guys, so now I have Jessica Estrada. She will be talking about why she's a girl boss or a woman boss for that matter. And she'll be sharing about her business, her why, and pretty much answering the exact same questions we've been answering so far in this podcast. So Jessica Estrada, first of all, thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you for being a great friend. Side note, she's also a really good friend of mine. We hang out from time to time. She's phenomenal. But yes, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being on the podcast. And yeah, tell people who you are, what you do, and what's your why.
Hi. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me on here, Vash. I'm super excited. So, I'm Jessica. I have a photography business. I primarily focus on lifestyle photography. So I'll photograph anything from weddings to engagement proposals, families, couples, and just different events. And actually one of my favorite events that I actually shoot every year, which will be coming up this fall, is Awaken with Priscilla Schreier. So I know probably maybe some of your listeners or viewers know about, Priscilla Schreier. So yeah, it's just been so crazy and so fun these last few years to be able to just take pictures. And I think there's just so many great photographers out there. So I think one of the biggest things for me is just being able to be chosen as a photographer for anyone, including you. I mean, I know maybe we can talk about this later, but just being able to take photos for my friends and just other people that I meet, I always count it an honor because there's just so many talented people out there for sure. But yeah, to answer your question, I think my why is just, I love seeing people and I'm sure this is obvious for everyone, right? We love to see everyone be happy and joyful, but there's something about bringing a smile out of someone who maybe is not necessarily the most charismatic on camera, or maybe they don't consider themselves we always hear all the time, right? Oh, I'm not I don't like taking pictures, or I'm not photogenic. People say it all the time, and then they smile, and I'm just you're such a liar. You have the best smile ever. You look great on camera. So I think for me, that's my why, is being able to bring that beauty out of someone, even if they don't see it in themselves, and to, have that memory for them. And I think a lot of times, people think of photos as, just because there's video now, and video is amazing. Don't get me wrong, video is so amazing, but there's something about a moment in time that can just be stopped. Wow. And photos are just they're memories, and they're precious memories. So being able to just capture those special memories for people is just so important to me. And I obviously always count it an honor to be able to do that for people.
Yeah. And I will say, my husband, who is not one to just take pictures all the time, the first time we took pictures with Jessica, he looked at me and he's like, Vashti, I've never felt comfortable before having someone take pictures of me. And Jessica makes me feel comfortable and okay. And he doesn't feel awkward or a random man just posing, He's she makes me feel okay, I got this.
Yeah, no, and it's hard for guys too. I think for guys just in general, they're probably more likely to be oh gosh, especially when I do couple photos, they're oh yeah, my wife dragged me here, or yeah, I have to do this because we're engaged or whatever, we're getting married, so yeah, we have to take pictures. So yeah, I'm so glad to hear that, because I think that's the biggest thing too, is it's yes, you want posed photographs, but a lot of the time with me, I just like to have fun and just, all right, we're going to do this. I'm going to show you something so you kind of can get a gist of what you can do. But and you've heard me say this a bunch of times, if you don't feel comfortable doing something, don't do it, because then you're probably not going to look your best or look how you would, I want you to be yourself and not pretend to be someone else or pose in a certain way that where you're just okay, this is not me. So yeah, I love hearing that.
Yeah. And for ladies, if you're listening out there and you have a hard time having your husband, your significant other take pictures, book with Jessica. I promise you it will be glorious, because my husband actually looks forward to it. He's like, yeah, we're going to have fun. And Jessica's so fun to talk to. And another thing was that she looks in his, that sounds so weird, but most people don't look in Jared's face, talk to his face. I think they're a little bit intimidated because he's 6'7", but he's like, Jessica actually talks to me. Like, she doesn't look away. She talks to me like I'm a person. I'm like, yeah, now you know why I love her so much.
I know. And so just so people know, I am like 5 foot even. Like, I am so short. So the fact that like I can look up at Jared and be like, hey man, like, I'm in this with you to take pictures. Like, it's all good. Like, yeah, of course. That's so funny.
So what's your biggest mistake that you've made along the way in terms of photography and your business?
That's a good question. Let's see. You know, I would say one of the first things would just be that and I feel like we all feel this in life, and people who are entrepreneurs or who are maybe listening and want to do, you know, something similar like this or open their own business, is they're afraid to start. So I feel like one of my first initial mistakes was just not starting soon enough. And I know that God's timing is perfect, and there's, you know, a season for everything and a reason why everything happens. You know, one of my favorite sayings is "Que sera," which is like whatever will be, right? And so I really think that for me personally, I think, man, I just wish I would have started a little bit sooner to maybe, you know, have more clientele or just have a little bit more credibility or, you know, whatever that may be. And I don't really know if that's like a big mistake, but at least for me, the way I see it is that's just kind of like, man, a little mistake that I wish that I wouldn't have let stop me from starting sooner. And I think that's a lot of people's fear of just starting in the first place. And so, if you're listening to this and you're just like, I'm just scared to do it because of, you know, reasons ABC. It's like, it's okay. Just go for it, because like everyone else in life doesn't have to be photography. You can be with anything. Like most people don't 100% know what they're doing. They just like go for it and that's it. So, I think that's definitely like one of the mistakes that I feel like that I've made is just not starting soon enough. Or letting fear, I guess, hold me back in the beginning and not going full force and being like, you know what, like, I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to do it. Cause I mean, I've been doing this now for 6 years, but I probably would say maybe not until like the last 3 years is where I feel okay. Like my wheels are really spinning and going and I was moving along, you know? And so I wish I just had that like extra, just like push, just to kind of like, to get me going a little bit faster. I think that would have been more helpful.
So then on that note, what's the hardest business decision that you had to make?
Let's see. Probably saying no, you know? Saying no. I think there have been, you know, many jobs that have been like, you know, people have asked me, hey, can you take pictures of this and that? And I think one thing people need to know is like, find your niche, like whatever that is, because you can't do everything. And I think that's the mistake that we as like, just women probably in general too, is like, we think we can do everything. And so we don't say no. And so there've been, you know, many times where I've probably like taken on jobs or, you know, done, you know, taken on an opportunity, which isn't bad, but because it's not necessarily what I really focus on or what I do, then I kind of like kick myself later because I'm just like, man, I didn't do 100% on that, or that wasn't really like what I wanted to do, you know? And so just, I think people maybe just should really focus on like, okay, what they really want to do, focus on that. And I think in terms of photography, like for me personally, it's like, okay, I can't do all these. I can't, unless I really wanted to, because for people who don't know, like I'm also a social media manager for the local community college here in Dallas. So, you know, I don't have as much time as maybe someone who does this full time. So really overworking myself is not smart at all. And because then I miss out on really giving 100% to a client, and that's not fair for them. So I think just really focusing in on, for me, it was, okay, I know I want to do lifestyle. I know I want to do more weddings. I know I want to focus on couples and families, but maybe I might have to say no to some things that maybe just don't make sense for my business because of just who I am and what I want to do. And that's hard because, you know, being a Christian and also just being generally just like, you know, for anyone being a nice person, you don't want to say no to people because you don't want to make it look like you can't handle it, or you are, you know, turning them down for another reason or something like that. So I think saying no at the appropriate time is important, and just know what you stand for, what you do. I mean, it just goes hand in hand for your business.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of my favorite books that I've read is Your Best Yes by Lisa Turkers. And she explained just that, giving your best yes. And that way you're giving your best quality of self. Otherwise, like you said, if you just say yes to everyone, then certain customers or clients get a burnt out version of you or a tired version of you, you know? So I think you honestly do a phenomenal job at that. And even, I think it was you, we went out one-on-one once and you mentioned that how you have specific days where you're like, this is for hanging out with people. Yeah. This is to go out and just have fun. I'm not going to schedule anything. I don't care how big this job is. This is my sabbatical. And and that's important. And I feel like a lot of people who are going after their dream, we say yes to a bunch of different things because we want to, yes, you want to grow a business, but at the same time, you have to take care of yourself. Otherwise, your business is going to fail.
Absolutely. Exactly. No, you hit it right on the nail there. Like, it's so true because it's like, yeah, you don't want to give people the short end of the stick because then what goes around comes around, unfortunately, right? So it's like, if you do a poor job for someone because you're overloading yourself, then that's not going to help you initially, like grow your business. Yeah. So take care of yourself and take care of others. But definitely don't neglect taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. So what would be the best advice you can give someone who has a desire to be an entrepreneur?
I would just say, just go for it. Like, just go for it. And I think I kind of talked about this before, just like having that fear of, I'm not good enough. There's other people out there who are so much more talented than me. Why would someone want me to take their photos when they can like pay someone else who's probably so much better? But there's just, each person has so much that they can offer. And I think over these last several years I've just learned that we're all so unique. And so like what you have to offer is different what I have to offer. Yeah. And we have different things that people need. And so just go for it. Like, don't be afraid. Don't let fear hold you back from doing something that you love or something that you maybe are thinking about, but you're too scared to take the next step because you're thinking of all the what ifs. It's like, just go for it. I mean, it's so cliche to say that, but it's just so true. It's like, if you don't try, how will you not know, right? And so I'm just so thankful because honestly, like with my business, my one of my friends, and I say friend, I mean, she is my friend, but she's like she could be like my mom. But I used to work with her a couple of years at another place, and she saw the pictures that I was taking, and she's like, hey, like, you're not bad. She was like, what if you take pictures of me and my family? I'll pay you. And then of course I was like, felt really bad because I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to like pay me. Like, absolutely not. Right. And she's like, no, she's like, I see your work. Like, it's pretty good. Like, let me just pay you something. Because I know there's work that goes into this. Yep. So if it wasn't for her, like, she was like technically my first client. Wow. And she, I wasn't the one who asked her. She was the one. So she kind of pushed me, right? Like, so I took the job on, and then she was like, yeah, like, you should put this out there, create a website. And this could be a whole other story, but in a nutshell, I got laid off from that job, from that place that we worked at together. And so it was just like perfect timing that when I took those photos for her, I just so happened, because I was unemployed and I was temping, I had time to build a website and to build already this little business from the ground up, just because of her one little request to me, which, or what I thought was little, Yeah. So again, it's just like everything happens in its right timing. Because even though I wish, man, I would have started sooner, I think God let that time be what it was, because he knew that I probably wasn't going to have that time before, because I was too busy working or I was in school. And so as much as I look back, as much at the time, I was like, man, I'm laid off. Like, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I had that time, because I wish I had that time back now that I could like do more things. Yep. So again, it's just like all in perfect timing. Everything happens for a reason. Just go for it. Like, don't hold yourself back. Like, don't let you be the reason why you're holding yourself back from something or others.
Yeah. And, you know, Jared, on the part with the woman or your coworker that offered to pay, Jared always tells me, he's like, Vashti, don't sell yourself short. Too often we have a gift or a talent. And I mean, I'm a nice person too. I'll say yes to everything. Yeah. And a lot of the times, like, I'll just give my all. And he's like, Vashti, your time is worth something. You don't just invest all that time and not reap anything out of it. He's like, yes, I get it. You have a great heart. You're generous. You know, you serve the Lord. But if you are pushing a lot of money, like even the books, and, you know, there are certain people who would want to freeload off of, whether it be books that you write, whether it be photography. Oh, because we're friends, or because, you know, we're family. No, this is my craft. This is my business. You have to pay. I'm sorry. Flat out. Right.
Yeah. No, and it's so true. And the people, and again, like, there's going to be people out there who are going to say no, right? It's just like, that's just how life goes.
Yep.
But the right people will support you and will know what value it looks like. I mean, even like for you, like with us, you know, like, you value me so much, and like having people like you in my life, I mean, it keeps me wanting to do what I love to do. Yeah. And so again, like, the right people will come into place and we'll know that and we'll see that. And so the people who maybe tell you, oh yeah, like, you're too much, or, you know, oh, I don't want to pay for that or whatever. Like, it's okay. Like, don't let them get you down. Yeah. Because it's like the right people will come along. As disappointing as it, you know, could be, like, the right people will definitely come along.
Absolutely. Well, Jessica, it was a pleasure to speak with you. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like I've said so much. Like, I'm sorry if I was like rambling.
Oh, no, not at all.
I think that was, I mean, I guess if there's anything else that I would say is just kind of like what we were saying before, or I would kind of touch on a little bit about just like the comparison game. Because I know, especially for people, well, really, it doesn't really have to be in photography. It could be with anything. There's always that comparison game on like seeing what other people are doing that is similar to what you want to do or what you're doing. You know, I feel like that was maybe one of the things that probably held me back too, is like seeing like, oh, some other friends who are, you know, just as good or better than me or whatever in my eyes. And letting that comparison game just like take over, you know? But yeah, just don't let that stop you. And I'm just excited because I feel like the society like that we live in now, like, people are able to do like what they really like love to do. And it's just so cool. Like, I know social media can get like a bad rap sometimes, but I mean, that's one of the tools that I really think like helps businesses grow and like connects us. And I mean, aside from that, there's a lot of other tools, but it's just really cool to see how, you know, people's small businesses are growing, or how even like, I think maybe people think, oh, I have a small business and that means that they're not successful. It's like, no, you can have a small business and live off of that. Like nowadays, like, you can be living off of that. And I think that's just like so cool. So yeah, for anyone listening, like, just go for it and do it, because you just don't know what will happen. Yep.
And with that said, thank you so much, Jessica, for being on the podcast. And
thank you.
I just pray that someone gets motivated. If you're sitting on your couch listening to this, get up and go after it.
Yes, do it.
That's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining me on Post Blog. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like button, follow button, share button, all the buttons to stay connected on the Post Blog podcast. Same time, same place next week. I love y'all. But remember, God loves you most.